Hi guys, welcome to another AFL Trade Rumour video. Now, this one is about the potential replacement for Tom De Koning. I am talking about Liam Reidy. I would say out of all the potential trade targets so far, or acquisitions I should say, this one is the one that has gathered the most steam. I'm going to play you a whole lot of footage in this video. I want to unpack exactly who is Liam Reidy, what's his story, why hasn't he played, and why he may or may not be a good fit for Carlton. So let's just break down the facts. First of all, Liam Reidy is a 25-year-old player. He hails from Victoria, but he's at Fremantle as it stands right now. Born on the 14th of June 2000. We're talking about a 204 centimetre ruck. Now, for obvious reasons, he hasn't been playing too much in his career. Well, firstly, as a ruck, it takes a bit of time. But secondly, you can tell, with guys of the ilk of Luke Jackson and Sean Darcy, they definitely take precedence over a guy like Liam Reidy. So I want to go back before we go forward. So let's rewind about 12 months ago. So he was actually the premiership ruck for the Peel Thunder. He played a really strong role, not only in the grand final, but in the final series, and really set himself up for a strong 2025. So much so that this was his exit interview recap with the Fremantle Dockers.
And you've talked about your physicality and your size and making things easier for the smaller guys around you out in the field. But what is it that you sort of want to add to your game looking ahead?
Yeah, I think off the back of the exit meetings with the coaches, very clear, and what I want to add and improve a few things in my aerial ability sticks out to me, but also going away and really working on my strengths as well, so I can come back and add a couple of strengths to my bow.
So comments there around wanting to add to his aerial ability, which I think will be important at the later part of this video. The other part here, which is an interesting story about him, is the fact that his weight gain was a feature of his story, which I wasn't aware of. I mean, I've seen photos and images and videos of him now. He looks pretty strong and pretty staunch, but this is what he had to say about the weight gain.
Physically as well, you touched on it, that it's one of your strengths that you like to bring, but since being drafted, that's something you probably had to change a bit. You've sized up a bit in that time. What was that sort of transition getting into the AFL system like?
Yeah, I was kind of doing a bit of reflecting last night from where I kind of come from, like 4 years ago, playing local footy. I put on 20-odd kilos, so it's a lot has changed in that time, and it's pretty crazy, but you had to put on weight and get after it. So
that's pretty interesting. As I said, premiership player in the Waffle. Peel Thunder, he had 36 hitouts and 15 disposals in that game and played a leading role, not only then, but in the final series. So we'll look at 2025. What happened? What was the story? Well, there was a lot of buzz around him in the preseason. He'd come off what they were detailing a monster 2024 campaign in the Waffle. Sean Darcy was injured early in 2025, and so there were talks around whether or not Reidy would get a chance. Peter Sumich, one of the all-time greats, said that Reidy should be starting with Luke Jackson in round one, and that's what happened. He played in round one. The Dockers lost. They played against the Cats. Reidy didn't have a great game, and that was the only game that he played in the AFL in 2025. Now, this part here, I'd like to get some input if you're a Fremantle Docker fan watching. What happened after round one? And also, I think just generally, what's your take on Liam Reidy and whether or not he'd be a good fit for Carlton or another team? Like, do you believe in Liam Reidy? Is he just unlucky because he's in a team that has Jackson and Darcy in it? Or is he, I mean, I don't have the Fremantle perspective. So if you are a Fremantle fan, I'd love for you to have some input in the comments below. So we get to April. He was named in the extended squad for Fremantle for Gather Round. Didn't come in. There was a lot of talk around him being valuable depth behind Darcy and Jackson, but just couldn't crack into the side. So he's still in the Waffle, and that's where he started really rising. So 2025 was the best of him. He had 40 to 50 hit-out games, double-digit disposal games. He became a strong forward presence. There was one game in particular here against Subiaco. He had 46 hit-outs, 18 disposals, and 7 inside 50s. A completely dominant performance in the ruck, albeit in the lower grade. But nonetheless, it was the point of what I'm saying is he really started developing and started showing some strong form there. And then, he still hasn't gotten a game in the AFL. And so naturally the talks around him start coming. Now, he actually signed a 1-year extension last year. So he's out of contract as it stands right now. In about August, September, that's when the talk about him leaving started. So on the 27th of August 2025, this was the feature on Liam Reidy. Really, it sounds like it was a done deal, but take a listen.
One player I can say that they're looking at, they've shown interest in Fremantle youngster Liam Reidy. So under that model, he would come across as the backup to Mark Pitnet. A lot cheaper, clearly, than the Ruckman they've just lost, 1.1 million versus not 1.1 million. He's played 3 games, but he's 25, so he comes in as that mature age backup, out of contract at the Dockers. So that's one to keep an eye on, Liam Reidy and the Blues.
And then on the 1st of September, so only a few days ago from the time of filming this video, there was a feature article on him in the West Australian talking about the reports that Carlton are circling, but that Fremantle were still hopeful of him signing with the club and retaining him. So looking ahead, I've seen reports that he's been offered a 2-year deal. I've seen reports that he's been offered a 3-year deal. I feel like we will get more information about that as the season rolls on, and maybe once Fremantle finish their season, whenever that is, whether they make the granny and win it or whether they are bowing out earlier, we'll find out more around this. But if you're just thinking about it, so what's the fit for Tom De Koning? So De Koning is obviously the better ruck. There's no doubt about that. But Reidy does feel a need. There is a discussion around, do you go and get, a star-ish ruck, or do you just go and get a guy that can fill a role? Reidy looks like a guy in this point in his career where he needs games. He's 25 years old. He's in the sweet spot as a ruck. He can't get a game ahead of 2 rucks who, let's be honest, I think Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson could be number 1 rucks at any club. That's my perception of that. But they're playing the 2 rucks at Fremantle. That's their point of difference there. So I think for Liam Reidy, he just finds himself in an unfortunate situation. Or in this case, it might be fortunate because it drives up his value and you can mount a case that he's only just behind these other guys. But I think he's ready to play regular footy. I don't know how he would go consistently at the AFL level. The reality is he's played 3 games in his career. So there's that. I don't know too much about him, if I'm honest. I just want to put together the pieces of his story and get your thoughts. So do you think this is an option for Carlton? Do you think this is the perfect opportunity for the age profile and the experience? I mean, he's put on the size. So the body development has happened. It looks like the form has come as well. He's played in, a lot of games in the reserves. He's been a premiership player in the reserves. Is he a guy that can translate that form into the AFL? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And if you are a Fremantle fan, I need to know more context. What is the Liam Reidy story and what do we need to know? Chat to you soon.